right, I think we will go ahead and get started. It's 1 o'clock. Thanks everybody for coming to the NRCS local work group meeting for Grant County. I'm Hannah Smith. I'm the district conservationist here for Grant County. And I guess we'll start off and doing welcome and introductions. I do want to say that we do have people online, so if you're speaking, speak up a little bit so everybody can hear you online. And Lauren, I don't know if you have any extra little advice or tidbits for online people.
No, I guess folks online, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. And Hannah's going to try to reiterate any questions that she gets maybe away from speakers in the room, just so we can hear them better online.
All right, so we're gonna go to the first slide. Okay.
There's a little delay. Is it coming up?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I'm resharing. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, so Lauren, it's sharing on my screen, but not the screen that we're displaying. So if you want, I can just run through it since it's already there.
Okay.
Sharing my screen now. Funds of technology, right? Lauren, can you see that?
Okay, so quick little introduction. We'll just do welcome and introductions. Our staff, Jennifer Moffett, she's our soil scientist. She will give a quick update on that end. Small farms and our organic stuff, and then we'll go into some partner updates. Drought and snowpack. We'll take a quick break and then go into our county-wide things. So next slide. So like I said, I'm Hannah Smith. I'm the district conservationist for Grant County. We have Emma Emus. She is a soil conservationist for our office. Ellie Justice is our brand new soil conservationist. She's on the next slide. And then Teresa Perkins is our prep technician. Yeah, so that's who we have. Jenny, I will give it to you.
So, hi everybody, I'm Jenny Moffett. I'm the resource soil scientist for Eastern Oregon. I'm based out of Redmond, but I help with all the counties east of the Cascades. I mostly just wanted to make sure you guys all were aware that back in October, the Grant County Soil Survey was finally published. It's been decades in the making, and we want to thank everybody who gave access to NRCS employees for mapping efforts, and we all are disappointed it took this long, but super excited that it was published. So it's now available for the public to utilize for using web soil survey. So I know that might be new to a lot of you since you haven't had a published soil survey. There's a flyer on the back with some website or how to access the website, kind of a little bit how it works, and then some YouTube videos on how to use it. But don't hesitate to contact me or anybody at your NRCS office if you need help with it. I think it's also important to know that, we also published Grant County and Wheeler County at the same time. None of those 3 counties had surveys published before. That includes the Ochoco National Forest, so you guys have a lot of information that you haven't had previously. I just was really excited about that and want to make sure that we get the word out. This is the landing page for Web Soil Survey, if you haven't seen it before. Basically, you set an area of interest, so you can type in an address, you can use a shapefile, whatever you want to do. Up on that, any one of those will give you an option. You can do it by whole survey area, so if you want to go to Grant County. We can, since we did county, it zoomed you to your county. If you went to sole survey area, you could get just your survey area. And you'll see that there's several survey areas in Grant County because of those national forests. Your newest one is at the top, it's the Grant County area. And you set our we just set the AOI. That's okay.
Yeah.
And once you've set an AOI, that becomes hash marked. You can also use, I won't have you do it because it's slow, but you could also use the little red square or red polygon buttons up at the top there to do a smaller area, maybe. And if you have a shape file, you can import that, which is really great when you have project areas that you're working and want to have those boundaries match. Once you've set it, then if you go back to the top, there's the tabs at the top, and you can start seeing that soil map. Gives you all of your map units. They're all hyperlinked with information about all of the soils that are in those. And then the Soil Data Explorer tab is going to give you any of the interpretations. So if you want to start looking at ecological sites, if you want to look at organic matter content, depth, rock content, all the things that are in your soil survey, you can spend hours searching through all the different ways that you can look at, and there's ways to report it. And then you just add anything you want to your shopping cart. Shopping cart verbiage is very from the 90s when this first came, or early 2000s when this first came out, but it is free. And then it'll make you a customized report just for your area. If anybody works for other federal agencies and needs administrative records, this is a great way to do that because it documents all of the dates and versions and all that would have to go into any kind of administrative record as well. So tons to play around with, great resources on the flyer. Don't want to be much of your time, but it's super exciting. So any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Okay. So a couple of these slides were sent to me from our small farms and organic specialist. So she just wanted to let everybody know that we still have our High Tunnel Initiative program. So this is for growing vegetables, stuff like that. Sorry, I'll just read through some of the bullet points. No summer is too short or winter too cold because high tunnels extend your growing season, improve plant quality and soil quality, reduce nutrient and pesticide transportation, improve air quality through reduced transportation inputs, and reduce energy use by providing consumers with a local source of fresh produce. So they're pretty cool, growing season extenders, I guess, you could say. So requirements, the only eligible land use is cropland, which has to be determined by us and the Farm Service Agency. A water right is required unless you don't plant to sell products commercially. So if it's just for your own use, then you don't have to have a water right for it. Yeah, next slide. So in 2024, there were 13 high tunnels contracted and 9 of them have been put up so far. As for 2025 high tunnels, we have 28 applications, 22 applications and hoping to contract at least 10 of those. So eligibility requirements, for organic. Producers with a USDA National Organic Program, organic certificate or proof of good standing from USDA accredited certifying agent. The certification must be maintained for the life of our EQIP contract with a landowner. An exemption from certification, excuse me. Producers who are selling less than $5,000 a year in organic ag products and are exempt from the organic certification, NOP certification. They're eligible for an EQIP organic initiative if they self-certify and they agree to develop and work toward implementing an organic systems plan as required by the NOP. For transitioning to organic producers who are in the process of transitioning, self-certify that they agree to develop and work towards implementing an OSP as required by the NOP. Lots of acronyms. Go ahead. So if you have any questions, Rianne Bettenport is our small farms and organic specialist. That's her contact info and she is out of the Pendleton office. Go ahead. Okay, so we'll just go through some partner updates. As for the FSA, Kaylee Heipel, she is on maternity leave right now. This is her contact information, but we have people coming up from Baker and Harney County Tuesdays and Thursdays. Megan Miller is from Baker and Sarah Evaldi is from Burns. Go ahead. And I will let ODF take it away.
Well, hello, I'm Brandon Ferguson. I'm the Forest Resources Manager for the John Day Unit, the Oregon Department of Forestry. We really just had a lot of staff changes year to year. And most of the time I stand up here and talk to you guys about resilience, but realistically, this year is probably looking more towards the restoration aspects of things. Dustin Gustavson is our unit forester. He's my boss and oversees quite a bit of programs. So I oversee the forest resources programs, but he oversees the forest resources program manager. Dustin also oversees dispatch, aviation, and our protection units. So something I wanted to add to that, we actually just opened up an additional protection subunit in Monument, and they're actually coming together this year for better opportunity for early detection and protection with our suppression resources. So we have 2 subunits, one out of Fossil, one out of Monument, and then the John Day unit will still continue to work through Grant and Harney counties. And then there's myself. I oversee 7 foresters, 8 positions right now, but we have an NRS2, NRS2 conservation service forester position open right now. So if you know a forester that needs a job, definitely apply by Thursday is the close date. But let me introduce you to those foresters that work under me currently and in the programs across 5 counties. Brandon Voss is actually not here right now. He's away at a training. He's our stewardship forester for Grant and Harney County. So he is often the forester you would reach out to if you have an operation going on your landscape. And he's the person you would look to notify with and look at fire rules, laws, and power driven machinery requirements for that. Matthew Brown's in the room right over here. And for communication, we all have business cards. So if you'd like to reach out to any of us, please feel free to approach us and we'll try to set you up. Matthew oversees the Gillum, Morrow, and Wheeler County areas as a stewardship forester. He's been with us for quite a while and worked in the NRCS programs, working his way up 4 years prior to that. But he's been our stewardship forester for over 2 years now. Very well versed. Matthew and Brandon will switch off if one of them's gone, then the other will take their area and still continue to oversee forest practices requirements. Let me introduce you to Adele Underwood. She is our new community welfare forester, started January 13th. She works with all our grant administration programs and oversees quite a bit of that. We currently have 5 administration programs going through 5 counties. 2 of those are in Grant County. And then Kara Dosher is also in the room. She is our NRS2 coordination forester. She oversees quite a bit of the NRCS work and coordinates priorities across the 5 counties that we're serving. Mary Jo Edel is our NRS1 service forester. She works also in those 5 counties, going out and doing quite a bit of the field work, assessing landscapes and helping to administer the NRCS ODF programs. Next slide, please. Marnie Woodbury, until February 3rd, was our NRS1 field forester, but she took a job as the administrative specialist too. So she's now working in our administrative department, still in the office here. And then Michael Kearns actually comes to us from the FFR Federal Forest Restoration Programs. He works on the G&A crew 9 months out of the year and works with our Forest Resources Unit for 3 months. And then we have our vacant NRS2 conservation forester position. Again, open until Thursday. Please let somebody know if they're looking for a position as a forester. And outside of that, our foresters work with sustainable, healthy forests across landscapes. We've previously looked to and continue to look to build resilient landscapes so that our forest landscapes are capable of handling forest fires as they move through and across the landscape. And so we continue that work through a lot of NRCS programs as well as other incentives programs to help landowners be able to afford to do that great work. We also work with a lot of cross-boundary collaboration with, you probably see a lot of agencies, partners in this room. And so we're continually coordinating so that we're working well for our customers, which are the landowners of Oregon, and coordinating those efforts with our partners. And then we also work to maximize resource values for the resources that we have so that we can hold and protect those into the future and make that a sustainable process. Working with resilience. Quite a bit of our work this year since October has been working with our post-fire restoration team. There were a number of foresters from all over Eastern Oregon that teamed up with kind of an oversight group out of Northeast Oregon. Kara Dosher is on that group as well. Going out and assessing the fire damage and severity and to try to recognize where we're at with resources, resource savability, as well as restoration efforts across the landscape there. We're working quite a bit with FSA and NRCS. FSA is EFRP, or Emergency Forest Restoration Program. Please, if you have forest land and it was affected by fires this year and you have not yet done so, please sign up with the FSA for the EFRP program. The deadline is April 4th, but I really wouldn't wait that long because we're really trying to get our restoration efforts and what those restoration needs are in a plan before then. So please contact FSA, and our stewardship foresters as well as Kara Dosher are overseeing a number of those fires individually. So there's a letter that went out yesterday that went out to landowners directly affected by fires. So look for that in your mailbox, and it should identify the forester to reach out to for help. That's all I have. If there's any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I can go first. Hi, everyone. Jacob Putney. I work for OSU Extension as the forester for Grant and Baker counties. And just a couple updates for me. Biggest thing is we have an ongoing webinar series right now. Some of you might be attending Fire Ecology of Oregon's Forests. That's Thursday evenings, basically until the end of March, from 6 to 7:30. So if anybody's interested in that, I'll give you the link to that. And then the next big thing is I'm planning Tree School East. Will be Friday, June 27th at Baker High School. Tree School is a big one-day event of classes and exhibitors, vendors, and a fun event to learn about a wide variety of forestry and natural resource related topics. And then the other big thing is continue to work with the Southern Blues partners, particularly doing education and outreach stuff. And I also work closely with the Northeast Oregon Small Woodland Association, which is made up of private landowners, part of the Oregon Small Woodland Associations. We'll have some events coming in the spring as well. More to come on that.
Cool. And I'm Micah Schmidt. I'm the regional fire specialist for OSU Extension. So I work out of LaGrange and cover 9 counties, including Grant County. And a lot of my work's around prescribed fire, so a lot on that note here. But you know, the ODF has the Certified Burn Manager program that's up and going now, and the prescribed fire liability program just happened or just got started. So you know, Certified Burn Manager, you can prescribe burn, you can access a $1 million per incident liability fund. So still working on that. And myself and a group of others are going to be adapting a big prescribed fire guidebook to the Pacific Northwest to use for people that are interested in becoming burn bosses and for doing some burning on their own lands. Going to be, we're actually just submitted a scientific paper with James Johnson, who some of you know around here, done a lot of research on the Malheur National Forest, showing you know, trends in old growth tree mortality in unmanaged forests. A lot of old trees dying where they're not managed, kind of not a big surprise. We got a paper out there, so that'll be coming out in the next few months or so. Recently got a request to do some more outreach on the differences of treated versus do that over the next few months. If any folks are landowners and have property burned, want to share some stories about your property, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I think the stories are a lot more impactful than just statistics and what burned how and such there. And then gonna just keep working with education outreach with the Southern Blues partners. So if anybody has any needs in the fire realm, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, that's all I got. Thanks.
You have my slides?
I do.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kyle Sullivan, Grand Saltwater Conservation District Manager in John Day. And just figured I'd give a quick overview on what the district does and what we have been doing the last year. So we're going to say ding.
Yeah. Ding dong.
So the district is the non-taxing district. We have 5 elected board of directors. You can see their names up there. 3 of them represent areas, parts of the county, and 2 are at large. We also have associate directors. There are people that are brought on by the board to kind of fill a technical need or to kind of have more input into more areas that we don't normally hear from. And 3 of those were just added in the last year. So next one. Staff, we have 12 staff members, 8 full-time and 4 part-time. One thing you notice on there is we have a Cole Windiger, who's a registered professional civil engineer, and he's also a certified water right engineer or certified water right examiner. He does the district's engineering program. We do a lot of work with irrigation diversions, fish habitat, more and stream type stuff. Neil Brooks is assisting him as a technician. Tyler Bales is a conservation technician, but he's also taken over the Firewise program. The county's been running that through a contractor over the last 10 or 15 years. And we recently took that over from the county. And basically the Firewise program is a educational outreach to certain communities that decide they want that status. And it basically tells them how to prepare their community to receive fire, things like that. We have Matt Wennick, who's our noxious weed control coordinator. Matt's built, I think, a really good, solid program in the last few years. Is assisted by Nate Hughes, and Teresa Perkins was on a slide earlier as a prep technician, but she is a district employee. She also helps Matt and Nate do some weed control. So I just show a couple of examples of some of the engineering projects. In the lower left was an irrigation diversion sitting off the John Day River above Prairie City. It was regarded as a fish impediment, not a total acid barrier, but and removing it and replacing it with something else to the right allows fish easier access to habitat. You can go to the next one. Next. This is another example, one in Fox Valley. The concrete structure to your left was before. That was actually put in by NRCS, its predecessor, Soil Conservation Service in 1980. It got to be a pretty solid check. This is about 3.5 foot check. And then on the right, looks like what it looks like after we were done with the construction. They also do culvert replacements. See the one on the left's feeling pretty good, and there's a pretty good jump off the one to the right. Overall, I threw a map on there. So these are all in-stream projects in the Upper John Day Valley since 1993. It's been kind of a steady, long program. There's a going joke that there's a couple lonely dots in the mid-90s, and then over time, as funding popularity increased, we were able to do a lot more work. Unfortunately, the bureaucracies gotten to the point where we're not doing quite the volume of projects we used to do, but we're still keeping after them and keeping things going. Next one. Moving into the riparian and uplands, the district has been managing the contracting for a program with ODF&W since 1984. And under that program, they've built over 350 miles of fence throughout the entire John Day Basin. We also do fencing contracting for the Forest Service and have a number of projects coming up this year as well. Stock water, another part of our engineering program. We can do stock water designs both on the forest and private ground. This is one actually up in Sylvia's Valley that we put in last year. Juniper removal, basically everyone is out to treat junipers. We wrapped up a few years back a 5,000 acre treatment throughout the county. I want to say that was funded by Title II. In the last few years, we've had another 646 acres under an RCPP program with NRCS, and then another 131 acres under an OWEC grant that we received. Conifer thinning, again, under the RCPP program with NRCS, we treated 877 acres. An additional OWEB grant that we put into about a year after that wrapped up another 530 acres. That contract actually expires this year, so we're just getting the final permit on that one now. Coming up this spring, we received some funding. We should have about 2,000 acres that we're planning to get on the ground. We'll probably be bidding those out. We're hoping probably May this year. Noxious weed control. We're, like I said, very fortunate to have a strong program under Matt Winnick's leadership. The next few weeks, he and his crew will be hitting the county roads. They have a contract with Sterling along the county roads, and they'll be starting that this next couple of weeks. We also were able to secure a helicopter. Sorry. Go back. We were able to secure a helicopter contractor for a big project that we have, and so we have him coming back year after year, likely in the fall, and we have him through at least 2032. And so we're trying to get the word out to folks that maybe have bigger jobs, that more remote areas that would fit. If that would fit you, then we have the means to get the herbicide out there through this contract. So annual grass control has become a big issue in the last 4 years. Grass weed control treated over 48,000 acres last year. Of course, most of that was through the helicopter. It's always kind of been the elephant in the room when you look at watershed health. It is there, but it provides some forage. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult to treat that level of landscape. In 2020, we started seeing some success with an herbicide called Rejuvra, with the active ingredient being Tazaplam. And our program kind of grew from there. To date, we have over about 117,000 acres that we've treated in Grant County since 2020. This was a program that we started with Oregon State University. It was in response to a need. We were trying to put out something called a Joint Chiefs application with NRCS. And that's what that is, it's for funding to treat cross boundaries, so the Forest Service owns forest land, private lands. And we felt rather than having the projects end at the fence line, there needed to be an ability to treat on both sides. The problem was the Forest Service, of course, has, people, staff to go out and they evaluate the condition of their forests and they have a pretty good understanding of what they need to do and where. There was really no equivalent on that for the private land. So fortunately, Oregon State University had done some work in the Klamath Basin where they developed a technique called rapid assessment, and that allowed them to train up some of our staff to meet with landowners on a voluntary basis and go on their properties and then kind of do an assessment. And it would answer questions as to what's the condition of the stands, do they need treated, what needs treated more than another. And it's been a great tool to kind of meet with folks to talk about their properties. A lot of the people we work with, they're running livestock, so they're more interested in the grass. The trees are there, but they don't really quite have a sense on what needs to be a priority for treatment if it was available. So this was a good technique to kind of both educate us and the landowners, as well as to come up with a kind of a decent proposal to the Joint Chiefs, which was successfully funded a few years back. So this is called an AEM survey for those in the upper valley. This fall, you probably saw the helicopter flying over the ground with the big hoop underneath it. That was us. This was done in partnership with BOR, and basically it's looking for groundwater sources. The technology comes out of the oil fields looking for petroleum, and since it's been adapted to look for groundwater, they use it in California, I think South Dakota and other parts of the country, Minnesota as well. And so the flights were done this fall, where BOR is processing the information. So they're taking the results from what the lithology is below the ground to about 1,000 feet below the ground. And they're pulling up the well logs from water resources, and they're starting to use that information to identify aquifers, water sources. And some of that'll help us understand better what we have under our feet for groundwater, as well as look at something called aquifer storage and recovery projects. Water Resources has in the past allowed people to divert high water flows from creeks and rivers and put it into the ground, kind of like a below ground reservoir. Our ability with the fish issues we have to get above ground reservoirs is very, very limited. So we felt this would be a good option to look at in terms of folks that were interested in putting surface water below the ground and then pulling it out later on in the year when they need it for irrigation. So it'll help us answer a number of questions. We're expecting to get the results from the BOR this March. And anyway, we'll probably I talked to him about having him come out and explain to the work that he did. We'll probably have a public meeting either up at the airport or the fairgrounds. Probably we're thinking April. And lastly, a few years back, our weed control department kind of noticed a need for seeding. So they've started to add that component this year. As I mentioned, we had the helicopter come out and do the herbicide treatments. They're also interested in coming back in about this time of year to do seeding. So after the fires, Confederated Tribes of the Warm Springs donated seed to the Watershed Council at the South Fork and the North Fork Watershed Council, and that got out to landowners. And some were able to take advantage of the helicopter that we had out here. And in the end, we put about 6,100 acres of seed out in the last 4 weeks. Matt has also retrofitted one of their side-by-sides with tracks and a seeder on the back, and they've been able to wire it into the cab and all that. And they're going to be using the UTVs for treating like skid trails or fire lines or things like that, where it's more of a, you want to get some seed on a straight line, as well as accessing some of the areas that are smaller. Really wouldn't be feasible with the helicopter. We've had some pretty good results from those tracks. They've been able to get up some slopes in both snow and mud so far and get some country that I wouldn't want to try myself. So more of that could come in the next year. If anyone has any seeding that they'd like to get out for those fire lines or smaller acres, just contact our weed control department and they can get you on a schedule and we can see what we can do. And so this is kind of a master map. I don't have control of it. Could you point out the blue? So the dark blue through the valley is the areas that we've been putting out the herbicide for annual grasses. We'll be doing another at least 20,000 acres this year in the main valley. And then there's been a lot of interest in IZ. You can see that on South Fork as well as up in Long Creek River. And we've actually had some interest in Crook County as well. Also, I should have mentioned this earlier, the Firewise community, we have 9 Firewise communities. They're kind of in that red cross hatching. So, like IZ, on Monument Top Road, exactly. The latest one was IZ, which was added this year, and it's become the county's 9th, as I mentioned. I think what else to point out on this map. We have a secured funding also through our community wildfire defense grant that we received. You can see the purple lines. We're working with the road department. We actually were able to get some equipment so they can treat the roads and pull back some of the brush a little further along some of those county roads to allow for a safer emergency exit in case of fire. They started up on that last year, and it's I think they'll get most of the work done in another year or two, and then do some cleanup a year after that. So, and that's all I have. Thank you. Thanks,
So
Herbert.
Kyle, we do have one question from the folks online. What types of services does Grant Soil and Water Conservation District GIS specialists provide?
So they were hired for a couple of different reasons, but primarily that assessment that I mentioned, there's 2 components. There's an aerial photograph or aerial imagery interpretation where they would call up with the forester, put it together, called it school forestry. Basically pull up aerial photographs, look at terrain, topography from USGS maps, and start to delineate the individual stands. And then the second phase would be field crews that go out with landowner permission to basically inventory the stands, disease, understory type, things like that. So that's the primary purpose, primary task that the GIS specialists provide. That's why they're part-time. They're both students, and this is what they kind of do to help us out. They work remotely as well. Okay.
Yeah, any other questions online?
Not seeing any questions online. Anyone got anything? Just drop it in the chat.
Anything else from Kyle or for Kyle in the room? Zach, I don't know if you have any updates from the tribes.
For the tribes updates, I'll just speak from the properties program, from Prairie City and on the Middle Fork of the John Day. For our O&M activities, there's 9 staff currently between the 4 properties. We've got a field crew, hand crew, and a native plant nursery crew, and also a monitoring biologist that works on the properties. And that's year-round work. We do have some seasonals getting onboarded hopefully in the next month or 2. And then for some of the work going on this year, there's going to be some adaptive management work done on the Middle Fork of the Oxbow. From the Mine Towns project, I think a lot of you may have seen or been aware of at some point. That should be proposed to go in this year. And then for landowners and things, we do have a native plant nursery located in Prairie City. Due to our staff increasing, which is fantastic, we're able to produce anywhere from 15 to 40,000 plants depending on needs. We rebed our own projects, and then we can also do some contracting if it's the larger scale, because 5 staff, 100,000 plants might be a little tough for some of the larger scale work, but for our nursery, you know, in that 2 to 3 to 4,000 realm, we can definitely get plants out. For private landowners, if we've got extras, which we sometimes do, of quite a few different species, you can reach out to myself, and I do have a couple cards on me, or Brand in the nursery lead. And we can kind of give you a list of what we have for plants that didn't go out that year that we should get out, and it could go to you for no cost. Any questions for me? Yeah.
Contact card.
I'll just do it from over here. I'm Amy Steiner, I'm with Southport County Watershed Council. Real quick update for everybody, so I'm the executive director for the council, and we also have Hannah Latzo, she's the project manager, and Lindsay Bullock, she's our office manager. You can see our board of directors there, it's a board of 7 landowners, spread anywhere from IZ to Bayville, and then also have Kyle Sullivan as an associate director. So that's our service area, or no, sorry, that's our 2020 to 2025, we were awarded a regional conservation partnership program grant. And I think, is there more info in that? Or is that it? No. Never mind, you can go back. We're just wrapping that up. All of the funds have been expended for that project, which made us eligible to renew the project, and that'd be the next slide. So from 2025 to 2030, this will be our CPP focus area. We'll have a little, just about $3 million to put projects in the ground. It basically runs from IZ to Dayville up to Rudio Mountain, and then from Picture Gorge to Mount Vernon and up Beach Creek there. And it's pretty well any practices, uplands related. So there's juniper, water developments, forest health, fencing, reseeding, and then fire resilience type projects. And that's all I had for you.
I'm the County Basin Partnership Coordinator and also the project manager for the Southport County Watershed Council. I think
Yeah, there's always like.
So the County Basin Partnership formed in 2014. We are a collective group of 30 total partners between federal, state, tribes, watershed councils, SWTs, and conservation groups. Really, we have the unifying purpose to work together and collaboratively across the basin from ridgetop to ridgetop. And then those are all the fun partners there. Next slide. So our big focus for the past 6 years has been this OWEB FIP, so Focused Investment Partnership, focusing on native fish habitat across the 3 priority geographies of the headwaters of the North Fork, the headwaters of the Middle Fork, and then Butte, Turtle, and Round Creek. Trying to promote recovery and habitat for steelhead, bull trout, chinook, and lamprey. We are coming to an end on that FIP initiative. Actually this year, we just had our last funding cycle, just 2 weeks ago. But in February of 2024, we finished prioritizing all of the uplands across the John Day Basin. And so we are now looking at larger funding sources to promote uplands, fuels treatments, juniper, invasive treatments, invasive bee treatments, all across the basin, focusing in the high priority geographies of kind of the lower South Fork, Main Stem, and Fox Cottonwood. So that is the partnership in a nutshell.
You'll be looking beyond OWEB for additional funding?
Yep, so we currently are trying, I think Kyle mentioned the funding source, but the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. That's a US Forest Service pot of funding, up to $10 million. We're looking to apply to that in fall of 2025. We also tried to apply last year to America the Beautiful, but unfortunately we weren't funded through that. So trying to, kind of target those large, multi-million-dollar funding sources for upland treatments across the basin. Any questions?
So. I don't know, Brent, did you want, we have ODA here, do you want any updates on your end?
I didn't really provide,
Okay.
put anything together, but yeah, I'm Brent Smith, I'm with ODA now, been there about 5 months. And John Day is my region, it's a new region that ODA put together recently. And like I said, it's kind of new as far as this area, working with Grand Solid Water Conservation District, and go for the ag water quality management area update to the plan, and that'll occur in April. So that's the main thing I have going on as far as the Grant County area. We have a couple other focus areas throughout the basin. One's going up in Ukiah area, Camas Creek, and then another one down in the Gillum area in Hay Creek. And then believe it or not, a couple more management area plan reviews that I'm on, so. They just stacked them on me to start with, so I gotta go through three of those big things, but, you know, what we do is primarily work with the soil and water conservation districts, provide capacity funds that are targeted towards agricultural water quality, so that could be anywhere from, you know, as far as restoration actions, it would be repairing events, spring developments, protection, planting, those kind of things that would enhance riparian areas primarily and water quality. So, in a nutshell, that's what I'm looking at. Thank you.
Yeah.
I forget, where's the Monday PMDL at?
Yeah.
It started, I mean,
DEQ is petitioned the course for an extension, and they want an 18-month extension, and they have not heard back. Actually, it's EPA that is petitioned the course for that extension, but and that's due to the workload that DEQ has. They have to replace 14 temperature TMDLs across the whole state. I mean, Martin's the thing, but so yeah, we're kind of in waiting, and we've been that way for about the last month and a half, but hopefully we'll know something soon. Yeah, so that will be something that kicks off in the near future also. There's a temperature TMDL replacement from DEQ, and ODA will be, you know, basically the EMA for the agriculture part of that TMDL process.
Oh, you do not sign on. Okay, thanks, Brent.
So Brian Kelly, if you wanna come off of mute and talk about the Ritter Land Management Team. You have an update?
Oops. Here we are. Hope you can hear me. I didn't prepare anything, so this will be off the cuff, but I'll try to keep it brief. We have completed a lot of juniper reduction and are very appreciative to NRCS and the rest of the partners for enabling that to happen. Currently, we've been partnering with North Fork John Day Watershed Council. We last summer, I guess I have to mention the wildfires, of course, were the big event of the summer. We had just begun aquatic restoration on 6 Mile Creek, and that actually basically became the fire line of the Monkey Creek fire. So that kind of put a pause in the activity. But fortunately, we were able to resume those in-stream structures and actually saw a lot of benefits in the hydrology when the big precipitation of December came in, and especially given the post-fire situation on the soil, we were very appreciative we got those structures in the creek. We hope to follow up with more activity on 6 Mile Creek, and we're going to begin aquatic restoration on 8 Mile Creek next year, utilizing an OEB grant. I should say all of this is following up on a stream survey that we had done with great help from the Grant Soil and Water Conservation District. So let's see, we also have a grant application in with OEB for post-fire restoration work. So those are the highlights. I guess I will leave it there. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so I'll go through quick updates. As you can see, Grant County is not in a drought. We're doing pretty good. I pulled this on February 4th I don't see that it has changed. Next slide. And then here is our 2025 snowpack report. This was pulled on the first, so we are well above normal. It's kind of hard to see, but we're 144% of normal in the John Day Basin, so we're sitting pretty good. I assume it's probably higher at this point. So, Lauren dropped, or will drop the links in the chat for you guys online for the snowpack and the drought monitor. On your agendas, there are links to those websites that you guys can follow, and keep up to date on those. So I think we'll take a short 10-minute break, at this point, give you guys a break from us. I guess be back here, we'll just say 2 o'clock.
All right, we're gonna get going.
Well, they didn't listen at first. I agree. Yeah, it's like my.
That's the difference.
All right, so we'll just get started again. This next portion will just be NRCS programs. So for the past few years, we've kind of gone through and seen what our county priority resource concerns are, and that's kind of the purpose of these meetings, to get everybody together, get ideas where we want to move the county. So this is just kind of a review on what the priority resource concerns have been in the past and kind of are currently. Number one, invasive species, this includes juniper, annual grasses, herbaceous weeds. So, that's been a main focus, along with partners, like Kyle said, doing a lot of the annual grass treatments, things like that. A big focus of ours has been juniper removal. And we've moved more towards, annual grass treatments. Second, forest health, including, aspen. So forest health, I mean, fire, thinning, just recovery from fire or prevention of fire. So a lot of pre-commercial thinning work is being completed within the basin, and then seems it's becoming more of a priority, obviously, with the large fires we've had. Number three, grazing management. This includes stock water developments, grazing, and cross fencing on private lands. So it seems we've had more and more interest in stock water within the county. Number four, water quality and quantity, including irrigation, along with stock water as well. And then number five, easements to keep working lands working. Yeah, go ahead. So this year, as a basin, we've kind of decided that we've had such large wildfires across our basin, the 9 eastern counties, that we've pulled our EQIP money together and we're doing a lot of fire recovery. So our EQIP money is going to be focused in like the Ritter area, South Fork area, Court Rock, that sort of a thing. So that is what we are focusing on this year for our EQIP money within NRCS. Joint Chiefs is still at play. We still have all of that funding. And then, we've done a funds request and are asking for more funds. And that will also be for fire recovery, there. So the last year's funding summary, it's kind of a table full of lots of numbers. I'll start with CSP. This year we had 5 total CSP renewals. So CSP renewal is those who have had contracts and they're applying for another contract. So these are recurring CSP landowners. Classic for 2024, we had 7 contracts, a little over $700,000 total with those. And that was all of 2024. And then for our EQIP money, We had 5 contracts and almost $300,000 spent. We had 3 contracts within the Ritter area for $250,000 spent. 1 sustainable livestock production contract, a little under $50,000. The Joint Chiefs, we spent a little over $1 million with 11 contracts. And then our Inflation Reduction Act, we spent 765 and change on that, and that was mostly within the county. We had a couple juniper removal projects, the bulk of it was pre-commercial thinning. And then in the fall, we got a little bit of fire recovery money. We were able to fund 6 contracts through that and $392,000. So we had a total of 33 contracts and $2.7 million spent. As you can see, everything totaled together. We had $4.2 million spent within Grant County. And then this is from Teresa. She is the crop technician. She gave me a little update. We have 3 contracts expire within the county, 2 re-enrollments. We have 39 active contracts within Grant County, which constitutes 1,991 acres and about 80.25 miles of streams protected within the county. Okay, so looking forward into 2025 and 2026, like I said, all of our equip money this year is going to go towards fire recovery. We just saw that as a priority within the county and within the basin, really just with the massive fire season that we had. We're just trying to get a little bit of money out there to help those folks that got burned. But looking forward, these are the conservation implementation strategies, or CISs, we have within Grant County, which is the invasive annual grass control, our Ritter uplands restoration projects, drought and wildfire watering strategy. We have our state initiatives that includes the high tunnels, the organic initiatives. And then we have the Inflation Reduction Act, but we don't know where we're sitting with that at the moment, as I'm sure all of you are aware. And then looking forward into 2026, we'll have our normal equip application deadline in November sometime. We'll have our CSP renewals. We haven't gotten an application deadline for those yet. Last year it was sometime in May. That is for those who have CSP contracts expiring in 2025. And then we have our CSP Classic. The application deadline is February 28th, so that's coming right up. Those are for new applicants. So if you're interested in the Conservation Stewardship Program, contact us. And then, as Amy had said, we have the South Fork Regional Conservation Partnership Program. We'll have to go through negotiations for that, and that will be coming forward for the South Fork area that she had shown earlier. So like I said, the existing CISs, and it'll go through each one, so go ahead. The annual grass control, that is covering our whole county, so all of Grant County, this is open to. We're targeting our annual grasses. We're looking at ground that is going to recover, so beneficial grasses that are on the ground already, and annual grasses are invading those areas. We'll come out and conduct field visits on our end of things. The practices include herbicide treatment. We've been working with the district pretty closely with the Rejuvra. And like Kyle had said, we've got a helicopter under contract for a few more years on that. And that's how they've been applying it. And we also have seeding money within that. So if we need to seed areas after treatment, we have money available for that. Good. The drought and wildlife watering, CIS, this is basin wide, so this also covers all of Grant County. Livestock water is the main, thing here, so, spring developments, that sort of thing, livestock water. Go ahead. Joint chiefs, so this, like I said, this money is still in play this year, so we have $1.3 million for funding in 2025. Practices here include, pre-commercial thinning, juniper removal, reseeding, stuff like that. So this is a partnership between us and the Forest Service. And this is where a lot of the Southern Blues Partnership comes into play as well. So, yeah. So yep, here's the partners involved: Blue Mountain Forest Partners, Grant Soil and Water, us, NRCS, the National Forest, Oregon Department of Forestry, BLM, OSU Extension, and OSU College of Forestry. So this is kind of a makeshift funding timeline. So this year, we're in our last year of the Joint Chiefs funding, and this year, I should have changed this. We're kind of pulling the EQIP funding and using that for fire recovery. But looking forward to next year and into the future, we have all of our same CISs, the annual grass control. We'll have the RCPP coming on board for the South Fork. I put a question mark for Inflation Reduction Act, as we don't know where that's going to sit in the future. And then looking even more in the future, some of our CISs will be coming offline and we'll be looking for new ideas, and that's kind of the point here, is to kind of get ideas from all of you to see where we want to move the county, get ideas on new strategies. Go ahead. So I put this one on hold for the Inflation Reduction Act. So yeah, we can read through that. These are all kind of climate smart practices. Grazing, pre-commercial thinning, plantings, that sort of thing, but we're on hold, so go ahead. All right, so this is where we kind of are gonna look for input from all of you, and see if this is where we want to stay with our resource concerns, if we're wanting to move in a different direction, just kind of getting ideas from everybody else, so. Go ahead. Yeah, we want input from you. So at this time, we kind of have a little bit of an exercise for everybody to do to kind of get you up and get you moving. And I will let Aaron explain how it works.
All right, thanks, Hannah, and great overview. So I'm Aaron Ross. I'm the State Resource Inventory Coordinator working out of the state office, stationed here in John Day. So the exercise we're going to do today is we've got some flip charts on the wall that have some of the different land uses, and we've already kind of outlined the CISs that are existing or are going to continue for the next couple of years. What we're hoping to get from you guys is new ideas on where we should be working. Should we change the focus to, on the forestry side, we've got fuel breaks, fire breaks listed up there. What other types of projects should Hannah think about looking at developing a new CIS for? So since we have a big group, I've got a forest here and a forest there, a range and a range, so multiple opportunities. And then we're also going to put up a whiteboard online so the folks online can also participate. If the things that you're interested in doing don't fall under range or forest, there's other ideas. Flip chart up here, and so I'm going to take maybe 10 or 15 minutes to just kind of write down things that you might be interested in, and then we'll kind of come back, we'll pull the information from the folks online, and then what we're gonna do is use some colored dots. And so the partners are gonna have one colored dots, the private landowners are gonna have a different colored dots. And we'll kind of go through both the range, the forest, and the other ideas and give you the opportunity to kind of select the ones that you're most interested in, and then we'll kind of do a quick summary of what that looks like at the end. So any questions on that?
One question, I'm curious, do y'all have any sense of which of the priorities were on the previous slide? Were more likely to have matches or outside funding sources that whatever priorities are identified here could complement or whatever, or they? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what we're trying to get and from the partners, I think. We're moving in the same direction as our partners. We're just trying to get more ideas, I guess.
Well, I would choose one thing, maybe independently of funding sources, because I think it's most important.
Right.
But if I thought we got 3 times whatever you're gonna get here, I might select that instead, and not that you can inform it now, I'm just curious about that consideration as well.
Well, Mark, you always take it to that next level. And I would say today is just kind of getting the ideas down.
Okay.
But if, when you select and vote, you may put your dots up there based on some of that, whereas the private landowner might be like, hey, I want it in my area, so I'm gonna put my dots, wherever I am. And that's a little bit of the challenge of kind of getting input. But I would also say this is just one opportunity throughout the year to give input. If you have other ideas, other thoughts on how we need to prioritize those things, come in and talk to Hannah, come in and talk to the staff. Because it's something they're gonna continuously take input on as you kind of move forward.
And I mean, we do work pretty closely with a lot of our partners, like the district and you guys, and getting those ideas from each other and moving in those directions, all together pretty much, so.
All right, any other questions? Where's the dots?
You gotta put your ideas down.
Yeah, we gotta get the ideas first, and then we'll regroup, and then we'll do the dots. Patience. You wanna take some of these? You're by the chart, so you get those. Oh, what you need. Mark gets the full of these guys.
Hey, folks on Zoom. Let me know if you have any issues with using the whiteboard. I know it can be tricky to figure out, but you can't break anything. So just feel free to click any of the buttons. And if you want to add text, just hover over that T on the left-hand side and click anywhere, whether it's related to rangeland, forest land, or other ideas. Or just drop it in the chat and I will add it to the board.
I think we'll start the next section.
I'm not just, it's different. Yeah.
Lauren, can you give me a confirmation you can hear us?
We can hear you.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for doing that. Lots of great ideas. It's a little bit of a challenge to do it hybrid, but if you can kind of see up here on the whiteboard, that was the comments that were collected for the folks online. I'm just gonna kind of go through and read kind of all the rangeland ones before we vote so that they can also see and hear what you guys came up with in the room. And so, yeah, the first two are already kind of things that we're working on, the annual grass control, the livestock watering. We've got another one that talks about predator control. Somebody wants to do juniper control in the Long Creek area. Looks like beneficial study for juniper control and eradication. Down here, we've got virtual fence. Broadleaf weeds. Riparian restoration. Mount Vernon area, and so that might be a great one for the RCPP that Amy's working on. Turkey thinning. There you go. So, yeah. It's an obvious one, but it's on the list. So, this one is also targeted grazing for fuels, and so that was a comment that I pulled off of here. As an opportunity, and so those are kind of the range lists. Let's go to the forest.
Aaron, something we ought to add is a maintenance program for juniper. 5 years, 10 years maintenance.
And you put that on the other?
Yeah.
Good one.
Well, and is that also forest thinning? I mean, maintenance.
Yeah, basically, yeah, maintenance, yeah. You know, we throw all this money at it and then you ignore it. And so that's something that ought to be brought into the program with some funding to redo this in a few years and.
Okay. All right, looking at the forestry, we've got the pre-commercial thinning and piling fuel breaks. Renew the Ritter CIS. Somebody wants a top road CIS. We've got cross-boundary work, federal, state by private IZ forest land.
Sorry, those are two different things.
Two different things?
Yeah, but I mean, like same. Excellent. Yes.
All right, so we're gonna separate those. Also have a cross-boundary pile broadcast burning program. Seed orchard. And seed bank creation, high and low sites for Eastern Oregon species and stock. And so that's kind of developing like grass seeds that can be grown in this area. I'm just trying to get some clarification.
Trees.
Oh, trees? Okay. See the range guy.
Yeah.
Where's the grass seed, man? Okay, so, well, it is in forest. All right, so. Nursery startups for tree stock. Stocking studies for tree stock introduction. Explanation on that one?
Well, if you're gonna do a seed orchard, you would go through years of figuring out which seed is viable and favoring, growth specs with tree species. With that, you take that seed capability and you put it on the landscape, on north slopes, east, south, you make these little 1 acre traps where you're gauging the growth dynamics of each against each other in different areas throughout each market.
Okay.
So you can identify what, your choice is. Some, might not some might do better with mistletoe, some might, have strong rootstock. Some might have strong mold stock, growth. So a lot of dynamics, but it's a study that takes a long time to do.
Right.
And, so it'll start something.
There you go. Sounds like a great thing for Oregon State University. Okay, a few other things on the forestry side. Burnt timber removal and replanting. Again, noxious weed control, native replanting. Prescribed burning, I was also on the flip chart up there. More creek restoration projects. So that's kind of the forestry list, and I think we'll kind of keep those up front. And then kind of the other ideas. We've got the renewable energy projects. We've got some in-channel habitat sediment restoration. So kind of some riparian stream stuff, irrigation efficiency, culvert replacement, energy water availability, catchment, holding sites, riparian restoration, which was also up here a couple of times. And then kind of that maintenance for juniper and forestry work. And so those are kind of the ideas and concepts. If you're a private landowner, you get 4 votes with one of the blue dots. And so you can put all of them on range, all of them on forest, all on other. And if you're a partner, we're gonna do it with red dots. And then folks online, Lauren, I think if they're able to add things, they can use a check mark for one and an X for another, or you can just put in the comments your top 4 votes. And so now's the opportunity to kind of go around and look at the list and put the dots where you think your priorities are.
Aaron?
Yep.
The questions you're representing multiple people in the community, can they get one set of dots?
So you're a landowner and a partner?
No,
Some of those,
there's
yeah.
a couple, well, yeah. I would say take both. I didn't really. No.
How many votes do you have?
So you get 4. So yeah, 1 set of dots if you're a partner.
Or Amy, you get 2.
Yeah, you're very nice.
So I'm representing the Burns Paiute tribe.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if I count as a private landowner or a partner.
Yeah, I would do.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw them.
Or should we put them on the wall?
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody get some dots?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was just up there before.
Sorry, I don't know.
That's bringing.
We have.
But Kimberly and I are friends with the right.
That's true. You know, yeah, we speak Manny. That's a family traveling to the. He's down to. We talked to some of the.
Hey everyone online. So hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, I put this in the chat too, but I tried to capture everyone's comments on the board. So there's definitely some redundancy here, but yeah, we're going to try to rank them in priority. We don't have unlimited funding, sadly. So we have to kind of target our focus and hopefully give Hannah, the district conservationist, some good feedback on what to prioritize in the next few years for Grant County funding. I see a vote for riparian aquatic restoration. Feel free to drop comments in the chat in terms of what if you had to pick one or two things on this board, what you would want to see prioritized in the next few years.
Lauren, can you hear me?
I can.
I can't seem to get back to the chat room.
Oh, okay. So if you're in Zoom, when your cursor moves to the bottom of the screen, does a black bar
there.
pop up?
Okay, I got it. Never mind.
Yeah, it kind of pops
Thank
away
you.
sometimes.
Thank
Of
you, I
course.
forgot it.
Of course. So I'm just going to drop hearts next to what folks drop in the chat as their priority. And then Aaron and folks in the room can add it to the handwritten whiteboards there to document.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also, like, as far as there's an environmental.
Yeah.
It's safe for the town.
We've also been talking about
You know, we got a. We put on Kelly for 2 days and then we don't want to be what do we do now?
Chair.
I would follow. I hope to never see someone like that ever again. Yeah, we got away with the dogs and the back. I think.
One other.
I wish I could.
She's ready.
Like, we're gonna wrap it up. Good. Let you all get on with your days
Days?
today.
Alright.
It's gonna be a long night.
Alright, look at all those dots.
Yeah, we got lots of good ideas.
Yeah, well, we're gonna start with the easier land use, it looks like. So rangeland, looks like the annual grass control was, sorry for the scribbles, but it looks like had 11 votes, so a mix of private partner kind of leads the list on that one. Some juniper work and some livestock kind of were second and third with that one. The forestry is where we're gonna get into a lot of dots. So I just tried to quickly kind of tally kind of the high end ones. And so I do realize like the pre-commercial thinning, there's some there, there's some there, there's one there, but looks like the top one is continuing with pre-commercial thinning piling. And we've got, this is kind of the post-fire side of things, removing timber removal and replanting. So that came in with 10. Cross boundary, kind of that cross boundary work, cross boundary prescribed fire, cleaning up those two kind of came in with 10. And then burning. And so kind of that maintenance side of that. And then looking at the others. Also had a really high total for maintenance of the juniper. Was 9, and so. I think a lot of those have been talked about in the past, but certainly gives Hannah some more input and insight and what can be done going forward. As everyone's aware, there's plenty of juniper and forestry to keep everyone busy for the next
Forever.
50 years. Or annual grasses or noxious weeds, kind of all those things, so. Anything else you wanted to add? Any other comments on kind of what we're seeing here?
You know, with the maintenance deal on the Juniper Cut and Forestry, ODS new program on fire on the ground, you know, running some low intensity fire through these areas a few years later will be a big help in this.
Because that's probably also the lowest cost option to get a lot of acres trees.
I mean, yeah.
And that's hopefully where you guys can get, so. Lauren, any other comments online or anybody want to come off of mute and provide any input?
We had lots of good comments online. You can see the whiteboard, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So tried to prioritize and group things. A lot of great comments in the chat, and we'll add those to the in-person charts that you have there if we can. But basically on the whiteboard, we have ranked has a high priority, prescribed burns, riparian aquatic restoration, post-fire rehab, invasive control, juniper removal and control. Those were the highest priority resource concerns.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren, and appreciate you adding all the nice graphics and getting everybody's comments on there. So I know who to invite to my next hybrid meeting to help with that. Any other thoughts in person?
I was just gonna add, it looked like riparian / creek restoration kind of showed up on all 3 different ones at one point, so they might have had their votes kind of spread out a little more, but I think that is something that was important to the stakeholders.
Yeah, you got a couple in channel, you got riparian, a couple of different categories up there.
Okay.
I'll let Hannah make any closing comments if you have anything.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate all the input. It lets us know where the interest is and where to go. Yeah, does anybody have any questions, any other comments?
I'll make a comment about what could potentially happen in the future. Just because we had that burn come through Monkey Creek, Battle Mountain Complex, whatever you wanna call it. Well, a lot of that is partially burned. Now you have standing dead all over the place with dry needles, not wet needles. So if we get another fire in that area this year, it's gonna be way worse than it was last year. So, I mean, I don't know how your programs work, but if we could allocate some money towards, like we said, removing, stacking, burning all the standing dead, it's gonna be huge, cause it's ugly out there, you know.
For sure.
And it lights up again, it's gonna be 10 times worse.
I believe the burnt timber and replanting tied for first, if you count those dots.
Just saying.
Out in Ritter, right?
No, I mean, that's definitely a very true statement. We're doing a lot of work in Ritter. So, I mean, it's good to know that you guys are still interested in wanting to do more work out there.
Bring us some masticators, we'll drive them.
Yeah.
You know, and when all that, you know, doesn't get removed, it all falls down.
Yep.
And our fires, we're gonna have another fire, it's not, it's wind. And we've got places up south for this burnt in 2016 on the Forest Service. They rebirthed this year, and I mean, it just, that, where everything was on the ground. It's so, I mean, if something comes back there, it'll really shock me. It really sterilizes the ground.
It makes it a lot harder to get to every time too, when all that stuff's on the ground. I mean, we were running around side by sides and we bought 2 Humvees for the neighborhood. That's great, but when there's logs down all over the place, you're not getting anything in there.
Where's the assessment at that shows what was burned by BLM and how long the BLM walked it North Fork County River? I've driven that road and everywhere I look up towards the south, it's large tracts of burn. They go all the way to the summit and all the way to my property, Shannon Russ and the 8 Iron. At some point, that watershed is gonna turn Johnny River black. When the runoff comes. So this is an impending environmental disaster. We get enough rain.
It's good to have all the partners here to hear the same things, same concern on private.
Well, I, you know, where's the assessment? Where's somebody that has taken aerial photos of the damage, determine, you know, how hard we really need to go after this situation.
Well, when it comes to that, you know, sediment runoff and whatnot, I agree with you. When it rained an inch in one day in December, there's nothing to hold the water in place anymore. So, I mean, we sat there and fought over for 5 hours in the rain just because there's so much water coming up the hills. So all the time, you know, plugging everything up. Yeah, I'll
And you talked with BLM?
I haven't, but I mean, that's why I'm throwing this out on the table right now.
We're interested in BLM, and I take out my own photos, got out there to take a look at it, and they're gonna try to do something.
It needs an aerial assessment, is what it needs.
You know, check for the BLM to see if they've done their bear report and that could be available for.
That fire, they had a bear report for that area, and so it's BEAR. Is kind of the federal teams that come in and their specialists in kind of evaluate post fire, and it's a remote sensing component. It's also kind of an in-field component to that.
BAER.
Did I spell it wrong?
Spelled it correct.
I can't spell it.
I just know what I've seen with my own eye driving River Road, and it's pretty bleak.
And isn't that the soil burn severity maps that they produce, and then there's also some other kind of more actual like tree depth maps that they produced, and I know Roy's pretty familiar with that, but
That would be something we could look up. And maybe provide, it's very, very valuable information to kind of start looking at that at a landscape level. Or Brandon, any other thoughts?
Yeah, we did a lot of work with our recovery team that's specific to private landowners. We took a lot of information from the Bear Report and others. And NRCS, went out and did soil surveys to ground truth the soil severity there. But we didn't do anything on the federal one. And I would say that, like, we had a lot of landowners who did the greatest treatments on their land because adjacent stands to those stands had such severity that it still ended up with significant scorch or ruin.
Harris in there is scorched white. That's how bad it's burned. On my property and then to the north, all the way to the river.
But I think starting, like, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking for, but I would. reach out to the board.
Some amount of removal and, I mean, I put all 4 of my dots right there. That's hard. Get hold of the grundle line, to remove the dead stuff and let's start planting something. Get hold of Austin at the grundle line. And.
Austin to Charlotte.
Yeah, here, I'll give you done. He's with the Bureau or he's with BLM? Yeah. Don't tell him maybe he's done.
Up in that area and for most of the fires burn, we're looking at a 10-year interval, 2 to 20-year interval. So it is going rapid again. We are doing fire. We're doing 70% of our fires started by lightning. If you have 40 fires going on in a subunit at one time, people can't be everywhere. And if it was not the private landowners help this year, we would not have stopped it. Okay, so thank you for everybody on the call. We definitely did it together and continuing to treat our landscapes together is the only way we're gonna be effective.
Right. Yeah. Austin number is 541 416 6765. I know they've been doing some work in the monument and off-road area. On getting some timber approved and ready to try to do something like it. We've got 4 fire roads pulling my property and it didn't slow it down. It went everywhere. Just canopy to canopy to canopy. Some of this fire this year, I've been around a lot of it over the years and I don't care what you had. You could be pinning in anything. I mean, it was so severe and conditions were just right to add a storm. I had camped out in my cabin for 10 days. And fire all around it. And that's the point too on cross boundary. On fuel breaks and stuff against private land is getting them to do something on the BLM and Forest Service to help protect our private land.
All right, appreciate everybody coming. Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Thanks.
Anybody online have any last words?
Nothing in the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself if you do.
All right, well, I really appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you guys do.